Hi, I'm Susie with Farm Credit, and we are proud to be a sponsor of the Virginia Country Living Festival. We are also a lender who recognizes that rural living is a lifestyle that requires more than just a bank. You need a lender who understands your way of life and is knowledgeable about your needs, and Farm Credit is just that. I'm here today to introduce Dennis Harvey of Doubletap Shooting Supply. He has been a security and law enforcement professional for over 40 years. Dennis was a law enforcement firearms instructor and has been a force-on-force instructor since completing training in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, sponsored by Northwestern University, the Spear CCI Corporation, and Pittsburgh Police Department. Dennis has completed armorer's courses for Glock, Beretta, and Remington weapon systems, and in 2012 he opened Doubletap Shooting Supplies LLC to assist customers with firearms purchases, trades, training, and repairs. Today, he brings that knowledge and experience to you to help you make appropriate decisions on protecting your homestead. Please join me in welcoming Dennis Harvey to the Farm Credit stage.
All you people, half of them are my friends. At least I think they're my friends.
Well, you hope
We're going to find out. We'll find out very shortly.
We'll find out if they bring you on.
There you go. We'll find out very shortly. All right, folks. Well, you know all about me, so I'm just going to kind of dive right into it. Firearms for farm and garden, I kind of just picked that. I thought that might be kind of funny to get a laugh out of it. Obviously, that didn't work, so we'll try something else. Basically, what I'm going to do is just go through some firearm safety things. The reason I do this is because a lot of people that buy guns have never had guns before. And so I have to try and get these people that have never had guns before to do some safety operations. What you do first is verify that all firearms are unloaded until you plan to use them. Do not point the firearm at anything you do not want to destroy. Okay? Use eye and ear protection whenever you're shooting firearms, and always verify your backstop, especially when you're at a farm or a garden or anything like that when you're trying to kill a varmint. Okay? You need to make sure that the bullet's not going to ricochet or hit the water and skip across, things of that nature. A bullet will do that. A bullet will skip across water. Okay? Make sure that there's no criminals on your property that you might have to. Never mind. Always verify that you have the correct ammunition for the firearm. A lot of times when I'm doing maintenance on vehicles, maintenance on firearms, I'll find that they have put the wrong ammunition in the gun, okay, or attempted to. So you have to be careful about that. Never fire a projectile into the air. Remember, what goes up must come down. When it comes down, it could come down on somebody's head. Okay? Keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to fire. Practicing firearm safety will make your experience more satisfying, okay? If you are more comfortable with that weapon, you will be more satisfied in using it, okay? All right. Choosing your firearm. I don't know how many times I have someone call me up and they say, I just saw this gun advertised. Can you get it for me? Well, for one thing, I'm a small one-man dealer, and I can't get a lot of guns that the bigger companies can get. But the first thing I asked them, I said, is, have you ever held the gun in your hand? Well, no, I haven't. Okay, well, you need to make sure that the gun fits you and you fit the gun. Okay, if the gun doesn't fit you, you are not going to shoot it. If it hurts when you shoot it, you are not going to practice with it. You need a gun that you can become proficient with. It needs to fit, it needs to feel good when you shoot it. Okay? You don't want to go out and get a 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum with a 4-inch barrel and expect it to shoot like a 22. It's not going to happen. So firearm size and configuration. Does it fit? Can I handle it? If your firearm hurts when you shoot it or is not easily controlled, you won't practice and become proficient with it. What's the firearm's intended use? What are you going to use it for? Are you going to use it for home defense? Are you going to use it for killing varmints? Are you going to use it for killing nuisance species around your farm or around your house? What are you going to do with it? All of this you have to think about in your head. Example, dispatching a nuisance bird will not need the same caliber as a firearm as a coyote would. Obvious, right? You can kill a bird with a pellet gun. I don't think you can do that with a coyote. You might be able to with one of the 50 caliber air guns, but not with the normal air guns you can get around here. Okay? Now, I spoke with a game warden that has over 20-some years experience, and he gave me a lot of information about the nuisance species in Virginia. These are the top 5. I never would have guessed it. But those are the top 5. Blackbirds, coyotes, feral swine, English sparrows, and starlings. Who'd have thought? Okay? Blackbirds. That's what the blackbird looks like here in Virginia. Okay? That's what it looks like. English sparrows. Okay? And what they do is they make nests in your house, they get in your eaves, they do things like that. Very destructive birds. And starlings. Everybody's seen those black waves in the air where the birds are flocking and everything? Those are starlings. Okay? All right, then you've got coyotes. Oh, I'm sorry, feral swine. Oh, wow, sorry about that. There's your feral swine right there, okay? Haven't seen any of these in Virginia myself, but I'm sure they're probably down around the swamp areas and things like that here in Virginia, down the swamp areas. Has anyone here seen feral swine on their property? Anything like that? Okay. And then you got coyotes. Everybody's familiar with that guy, right? That's what the coyote looks like. I've only seen one of these in my life, and I saw it close to my house out in northern Albemarle County. And I've never seen an animal that can run full speed and look back over its shoulder at you. That one can do it. I've never seen that happen. Don't know if they're prevalent. Have any of you seen them on your property? I bet, Rod. I bet you have, haven't you?
I've seen them.
Yeah, on your property? Yeah. All right, I have a game caliber chart here, and as you can see, it breaks down from varmints, deer, sheep, coyote, elk, black bears, and all the way up to moose and larger bears. Okay? So what we're looking at is probably staying down around this area down here for the coyotes, things of that nature. Okay? 17 HMR, 22 Hornet, 223 Remington. Yes, your AR can be used to dispatch a coyote. So if anyone tells you that an AR you can't hunt with it, yeah you can. Yeah you can. Okay? Alright, I'm going to go over the rifle types first. Okay, you have the break open single shot. I'm going to show you pictures of all of these in case we go along. You have lever action, bolt action, pump action, and semi-auto, which is your AR. Okay? The break open shotgun, and the pictures didn't show it. Oh, this is not good. This is not good. I knew I should have looked at this thing. Something has gone wrong because the pictures, I had pictures with each one of these.
Let's see if it's in there.
Okay. Yes, I do.
Maybe I'll just copy it over again. If you wait a few seconds, a few of us can go to our cars and come back.
Yeah, exactly.
It says you can't find the picture, that's what
I was going to ask if you could get online and get pictures online.
Alright, well, I'll just try to explain it to you folks. A break open shotgun is just basically a single shot shotgun. The barrel breaks open from the receiver. You load it one cartridge at a time, one shotgun shell at a time, whichever it is, rifle or shotgun, okay? You flip the barrel back up, it locks into place, cock the hammer, and you fire it one time. To reload, you have to break it open again and pull the cartridge out and go that way, okay? The next one is a lever action. I don't know if you've ever seen the old show, The Rifleman, but he has a lever action. It's a lever action rifle. It usually has a tube magazine under the barrel. And when you rack or when you cock the lever, it throws the old round out, puts a new round up, and recocks the hammer and you fire. All you have to do is just keep operating the lever and it will keep putting rounds in it until you're in it. Okay? Next one is a bolt action. I'm sure that's probably the one that most of you are familiar with. Some of them have a magazine down inside, some of them have a tube magazine, and you basically operate a bolt on the side, pull it back, kicks the old round out. When you push it back home, it picks up another round, shoves it into the breech, and cocks the bolt, and then all you have to do is pull the trigger and then operate the bolt again to put another round in. Okay? All right. Next one is pump action. Most of these are set up for shotguns. There are some pump action rifles out there, but they're very few and far between. Most of them are 22s. All right? So basically what it is the round is kept in like a tube magazine, or it can be a regular box magazine. And when you pump the action, it works the bolt, which kicks the old round out, picks up a new one and puts it in the breech, and then you fire it. And then you pump it again and it will fire again. Okay? Next one is semi-auto. That's the one, just like an AR, you have to pull the trigger every time you want it to fire. And it usually loads from a box magazine, one that attaches underneath. Okay? And every time you pull the trigger, it will fire until it's empty. Okay? But it will only fire if you pull the trigger. Okay? I hope some of my other pictures, none of my other pictures showed up either. Ah, there we go. All right, we're going into shotguns now. You got a shotgun shell comparison. Now this is 410. You notice it doesn't say GA behind it because 410 is not a gauge. 410 is a bore. It's called bore, B-O-R-E, okay? So you got all of the different ones, and they actually have bigger ones than 10 gauge. I figured 10 gauge would be more than enough that you would be interested in. As you can see, the 410 is small and the 10 gauge is big because the 10 gauge is more powerful. It has more oomph behind it. Okay, so there's your shotgun shell comparison. Most people have at least one of these around their house. Some of them will have 410s and 16s and 20s. 16 is pretty much defunct. You can't find 16 gauge much anymore. But the rest of them you still can. All right? Yep, here we go. This is going to be the same thing. Yep. Break open is just like the break open rifle. You have a lever on the back of the receiver. When you flip it, the barrel tips forward. It comes apart from the receiver. You pull the round out, put a new round in, flip it back up, pull the hammer, and fire it. Okay? So those are break action or break open shotguns. Pump action is just like I told you with the pump action rifle, except it's with a shotgun shell. That's the only difference. Most shotguns have a tube magazine that runs under the barrel, and that's where it picks the rounds up. Okay? It normally ejects them out of the same port that they load from. Okay? I mean, I'm sorry, that they pick a round up and put up in the chamber. Okay? So it would be a lot easier with the pictures. Bolt action, they do have bolt action shotguns, and they operate the same as a bolt action rifle. Okay? Pull the bolt back, chamber around, fire once, redo it. Okay? Semi-auto, we have semi-auto shotguns out there, a lot of different brands. These can run into a lot of money. So I don't suggest you buy one for your farm or garden unless you're willing to spend a lot of money. But semi-auto shotguns work the same as an AR. They usually pick up a round from a box-style magazine that attaches underneath, and they chamber the round, you pull the trigger, it kicks the old one out, and puts a new one in for you. And all you have to do is keep pulling the trigger until the magazine is empty. And that's the way that works. Okay, common pistol rounds. First thing I'm going to look at is handgun shot shells. These don't work too well in semi-automatics. Okay? You need a revolver to use these, okay? And if you use a lot of them, if you have 6 of them in your revolver and you shoot a lot of them or you shoot all of them, if it gets real hot, that plastic can mess up your bore a little bit, so you got to be careful with that. Okay? But these are your shot shells. It goes from 22 on up through larger sizes. What's the largest size of shot shell you've seen, Roger? 45? 45 long Colt, maybe? 45 long Colt, yeah, that's about it. But they're all made for pistols. They're not made for rifles or anything like that. If you're going to do that, you might as well get a long gun and get a shotgun. All right? Revolvers and pistols. I bet these pictures didn't show up either. Nope, they didn't. Okay.
You're so good you don't need pictures.
Well, that's good. I'm glad. All right, semi-auto handguns. The semi-auto handguns that you will probably be using most around your farm will probably be 22s, 22 Magnums, things of that nature. Okay? Reason being is you don't need to overkill something with a pistol. And you don't want the pistol is not a long distance gun. It's not made for that. Okay? It's made for short distance, and usually these varmints you don't want to get close to. Some of the birds you won't be able to get close to. So a semi-auto pistol, 22. If you get a nice target pistol, a nice target 22, you should be fine. Ruger makes one, makes a Mark IV. Smith & Wesson makes a Victory that can be very inexpensive and easy to shoot. Of course, 22 is cheap too. Okay, didn't used to be, but it is now. Another thing, well, it didn't even go to the revolvers. Revolvers are the same thing, okay? If you get a revolver, you probably want something like a 22 or a 22 Magnum for your property, okay? That will take out any kind of groundhog, anything like that. And anybody that owns horses knows that you don't want groundhogs around your horse farm, okay? But that's what the revolver will do. And the single action, the way that works is it's loaded up with usually 5 or 6 rounds. And in order to fire it, you have to cock the hammer back to fire it. Every time. That's why it's called a single action. You have to cock the hammer back, and the only thing the trigger does is drop the hammer. That's all it does. Very easy gun to shoot, very easy to learn how to shoot. All right? Double action revolvers. Double action revolvers are called that because pulling the trigger cocks the hammer and drops it. So it does both. It cocks the hammer and fires the gun. That's why it's called double action. Okay? You don't have to cock the hammer every time. You can, but you don't have to. All right? And that is probably not something you'd be using on your farm. You can get really nice double action 22 target pistols that target revolvers that you can use on the farm. Not recommended. They're usually very expensive. Revolvers right now are very expensive. Okay? Everybody wants them. All right. We're going to go on ahead and go to air guns. As you can see, there are some really large caliber air guns out there. They go all the way up to 50 caliber. Okay, so they start at 17 or 177, and they go all the way up to 50 caliber. Now there are 2 or 3 different types of air guns you can have. You can have one that you can fill up with air from a compressor. You can have one that operates off of CO2 cartridges. Okay, and then there are some that you can pump up with your hand that work. Okay, so those are the 3 types of air guns that you can get. But you can get them in configurations like, some of them look like shotguns, some of them look like AR-15s, some of them look like pistols, some of them look like revolvers. So you can get just about any kind of configuration in air gun that you want. But what you want, if you're going to be killing varmints with them, is you want something that's got enough power, enough feet per second to kill that animal. Because you don't want the animal to be half gone. You want it to go. Okay? So what you do is you need to get something that's got like 750, 1,500 feet per second. Okay? That's got some power to it that can actually take that animal out. All right? And of course the air gun pictures didn't show up here. So you have rifles that you can load singly. You can put 1 round in at a time. You also have them, they make them bolt action. They make lever action. They make pump action. Just about any kind of rifle or handgun you can get in an air gun platform. Okay? They make very, very good target air guns that are very accurate and very powerful. Very good guns to get. Okay, especially if you've got a garden and you're around a neighborhood, that's what you want to use to take care of these pests. All right. I had a picture of a nice premium air rifle. I mean air pistols. Has anyone heard of the air javelin yet? There are companies out there that have these guns that shoot arrows, and they're called air javelins. Okay, and they work just like an air gun, just like a pellet rifle, except they shoot bolts. They shoot arrows. Okay, and you can get these things. I mean, some of them run $100 and some, some of them run $5-6 grand, depending upon what you want to spend. Okay, very good, very fun. Okay, if you think you're good enough with an arrow coming out of a gun that you can take care of a pest, that might be the idea that you want to do. That might be your option. All right, I've got some codes and sources up here for websites and apps. This one right here is actually for the state. It shows the nuisance species as they are designated in their code. 291511, open season on nuisance species. Okay, you can go through there and it'll tell you which nuisance species are open all the time. Crows, I think, are one of them. Okay? Another one is 291-519, guns, pistols, and revolvers, etc., which can be used on which animal. It's just like when you're trying to hunt deer, they say you can't hunt deer with a 22 in Virginia. But you could hunt it with a 23. Okay? That's what this is. Okay? 152-915.4, localities authorized to regulate use of air guns. Okay, so they do have, the localities are involved with regulating the use of air guns. I'm sure that's more like in neighborhoods than it would be on your farm. Okay? So you need to look that up. 291-521 is hunting on Sunday. You're not allowed to hunt on Sunday, even if you're hunting varmints, unless you have a special permit from the state. To get a special permit from the state, all you have to do is show that the animal is causing damage on your property, monetary damage. Once they cause monetary damage, then you can go to the state and get a special kill permit, and you can kill anytime, anywhere, whatever you need to do. Okay? 291-100 is all of the definitions that these codes cover. Not a bad one to look up so that you can figure out what they're talking about when they say certain items, certain words. What's that? Someone asked a question? Someone out there. All right. Yes. No. They're protected. Yes. In fact, I'm getting ready to. If you go to dwrvirginia.gov wildlife nuisance, that should be able to help you. If not, I've got a website here, www.wildlifecenter.com. That's the center that's right here in the county. Okay? And they should be able to help you, and they'll tell you exactly what you can do with the hawk and things of that nature. What's the hawk doing? Yeah, yeah. If it's killing livestock, then they can come in and take care of that. They won't kill it. I think they'd relocate it. Okay? And finally, the last thing, if you look on your phone, you'll see that you can probably find a trapper finder tool. What this does is this maps your location, and it shows you all of the different trappers and things, animal control people that can help you out at your property. Okay? So the trapper finder tool is a phone app. Okay?
You said you were having trouble?
Well, it's too late now. I'm almost finished. Yeah, all of the pictures didn't show up.
Okay, I just got the call.
Yeah, I know they're on my drive, but they didn't show up through the computer here.
You want to do it again?
They show up on my computer at home, but they didn't show up here.
Okay.
So, okay. So, anybody have any questions? This is basically the last thing right here. Tips. If you're feeding wildlife, stop. This causes them to lose their fear of humans. Keep trash inside until just prior to pickup or in an animal-proof container. Do not leave pet food outside. Keep your pet feeding areas clean. Remove bird feeders when a problem species such as bears have been seen in the area. Last one, close up all openings under and into your buildings. Okay, I've got one more slide. Clear fallen fruit from around trees. That draws animals. Reflective tape, lights, or noise sometimes work until they get used to it. Once they get used to it, then the way won't work anymore. Electric fencing can be effective in keeping wildlife out of crops, beehives, and structures. Okay? I know there are a lot of beekeepers in Virginia, so. It is illegal in Virginia to trap and relocate a wild animal to another area. What is that? Somebody been doing that? I know of people that have done it. It's no big deal, but it is illegal in Virginia. If you get caught, they'll write you up for it. Okay? The game wardens in Virginia. Okay? All right. Any questions?
I got one, Dennis.
Yes, sir.
So you're familiar with my revolver?
Yes.
And I've heard, I don't know if it's true, but I've heard if you shoot a lot of that rat shot or snake shot out of like revolvers because the barrel's twisted.
Exactly.
That the pellets, because it's so bouncing around in there, can cause damage if you do a lot of shooting with the rat shot or snake shot.
Yeah, that's correct. And the problem with that is the rat shot has to jump that gap between the cylinder and go through the forcing cone into the barrel. And that's where it starts messing up. Yeah, exactly. It will damage your revolver. It sure will.
Damage the bore.
Yes.
The rifle.
The rifling and yes. Sure will. Any other questions?
Even though those pellets, they're going to be steel, they're going to be lead.
Some of them are steel, some of them are lead. You can buy different types. If it were me, I would buy the lead ones. But then, man, you're going to have a mess to clean up in your barrel when you get done with it. If I was going to do something like that, I would get a 410 shotgun with a short barrel.
Or bird shot through a regular
Or bird shot through a 12 gauge. Yes, sir.
clean bore.
You are exactly correct.
I did have another question too, real quick.
Yeah.
Talking about the relocating animals. Taking one. What do they consider the area? I mean, is it a mile, 2 miles, 100 yards? What? I mean,
If you only take them 2 miles from your place, they will come back. And the bad thing about relocating, like I use groundhog, because if you take a groundhog and relocate it out of the area, next year another family's going to move into that hole,
they're gonna take it over.
into that hut. Yeah, that's the only thing about it. But I would say out of the area would be like, 5-10 miles or
Yeah,
something
miles,
like
okay.
that. I had an uncle that lived in the country. I can talk about it now because he was a very, very funny, very, very caring guy. But anyway, he used to catch stray cats on his property in Fluvanna, and he worked in Richmond. He'd catch them in a have-a-heart trap, and then he would take them to Richmond and let them loose. I mean, he was just dead set against those cats. I mean, that's just the way he was. And they were tearing up his garden and things like that. So he would just get rid of them because people were coming and dropping them on his property. So that's what happened. But yeah, there are all kinds of things. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. Yes, yeah, that's a nuisance species that you can hunt those anytime. Yeah.
Coyotes are the same way.
Coyotes are the same way. Coyotes are the same way. Starlings are the same way. All the 5 that I showed you, if they're causing damage, you can take them out. And it's just like my wife and I used to work on a Mustang ranch, and whenever they got a groundhog, that was not good news. That was not good news because a horse will step in the groundhog hole and break a leg. So. Yes, that's correct. That's correct. Yes, sir.
I know for church is going to Culpeper to help some farmers out with some of the feral swine coming on some of the farm fields.
Where?
In Culpeper.
Oh, okay. All right. So they are in
There are
Culpeper.
pockets of different. If you go to the Department of Fish and Game website, I think they showed where there's pockets of feral swine throughout Virginia. Some's up northern area like Culpeper, up that area, and some are
There's a lot in
southeast
Northern Virginia. You're right.
That's right.
But yeah, he said that there was a gentleman that owned a farm in Culpeper and he needed some help with some feral pigs. So that's not far from here. That's not far from here. It's only about, hour and a half? Hour and 45 minutes? So, and the way they move, they could be here in, a year or two probably. Okay. Any other questions? Any other comments? Okay. My business cards are on that gentleman's table. If I do handle transfers, a lot of companies don't, but I do handle transfers. I'm just a one-man operation, and I like keeping it small and doing the one-on-one with people. So if you need to get in touch with me, pick up one of my business cards and give me a call. Okay?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right.